Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Writing for the Ear lecture. You've got a note sheet that you hopefully either have open or printed so that you can take some notes on this. The reason why I'm asking you to do notes on this one is because this is something that you're going to have to come back to every single time we do an assignment in this class. This is like the basis of everything you need to know for writing for radio. So if we go over it now and you take some good notes on it and start committing it to memory, it will be something that you don't have to go back and review. Now, my lecture on this is just going to be quick to give you some examples because I believe you capable of reading the text that's on the screen. So I'm going to enhance the text that is on the screen. I'm not just going to read it for you. So if at any point during this lecture you need to pause it to read the text that is on the screen and take some notes on it and write down what it means for you, that is completely understandable, and not only understandable, but encouraged. Now, the first screen here that you've been looking at while I talk tells about why it's different to write for the ear, and those 4 points are very valid, but the biggest one I want you to take home is that it's heard, not read. So if, for example, I am reading a newspaper story from the New York Times or the Chicago Tribune, and I don't understand the paragraph that the writer wrote, I can reread it. However, if I'm listening to a radio station and I don't understand what the reporter or the DJ is saying or the commercial is saying, I cannot re-listen to it, at least not in that exact moment. So these are 8 different tips that you're going to need to know for writing for the ear. The first one is keep it simple. And we give you some things up there about keeping it simple. And I'm going to highlight short sentences. I'm going to skip active voice because that comes up later in our lecture. But short sentences, 10 to 12 words. We don't want it to be so short that it's like me, Tarzan, you, Jane, fire, building, bad. Okay, that's a little too short. We need some more description. But you got to remember, the thing about radio is most people listening to the radio are not listening for the DJ or for the announcements. They're listening for the music. So give them the details that they need and then get out. One way to keep your sentences short, avoid complex constructions, things like commas, semicolons, and ellipses or dashes, things that will carry your sentence on. It's better to just do 2 sentences, and we'll highlight that in a second as well. The next tip is talk as you speak. What we mean by that is you want to be personal and intimate. So I am talking to you. Now, in reality, who am I talking to? Well, I'm talking to anyone who watches this video. But right now, you're the one watching this video, which means that when I say you, you know it's you. And I say me, you know it's me. On the radio, it's no different. You talk with I and you talk with you. Why we do this is to create ownership, belonging, intimacy, and to demonstrate what we call as we FM. What's in it for me? We use these personal pronouns, you, we, are, us, I, because then it makes that connection. It's like a conversation. And if I could demonstrate we FM to a listener, what's in it for me, they'll stick around. So for example, if I'm going to give away tickets to a concert and I say, hey, caller 18 right now is going to win a pair of tickets and you must be 21 years of age or older to win. As soon as I say 21 years of age or older, all of my students in my summer school class immediately tune out. What's in it for me? Nothing. You can't win. Hey, I'm giving away a pair of tickets to the 16th caller who is an LT high school student. All of a sudden you're going, whoa, wait, I'm an LT high school student. And an alumni might be like, I'm not. We FM, what's in it for me, right? These personal pronouns create we FM. Here's some more examples. We've underlined them for you. If you need to pause to see these or write down what we're meaning, by all means, please pause the video. Not a problem. I don't want to stop talking and just wait in case somebody else does want to move on. So if you need to pause the video at any time to take some notes or process what I'm saying, please do. Now, continuing on talking as we speak, let's talk about contractions. If this was an English class and your English teacher said to write a paper and you used the word can't or wouldn't or don't or couldn't, your teacher would have a heart attack. They would circle it in red ink and say, get it out of here. However, in radio, it's cool to use contractions because we want to talk as we speak. If you were going to ask your parents if you could go out on Friday night and your mom says you can't, would she say, no, you cannot? or would you say can't? And if you were to beg your case, and if you say, but everyone I know will be there, why can I not go? No, you would say, everyone I know will be there. Why can't I go? You talk in contractions. It's what we do. It's also okay to use slang with care. Now, what do we mean with slang? We mean words that people use on an everyday basis that make sense to them. So, for example, what school are you attending right now? Lyons Township. But what do we call it? Well, we call it LT. But we can't use the slang LT if we're talking on ABC7 in Chicago or on a radio station in Chicago, because LT also stands for Lane Tech, which is a high school in the north side of Chicago. It also stands for Lockport Township, because that is what they call their high school out in Lockport. We call it LT. They call it LT. Who's LT? Well, at WLTL, LT is okay because we know what we're talking about, but on a bigger station in Chicago, it might not be. Also, just be careful to use slang that actually makes sense. So, for example, if I was talking to a friend and he said, "What are you doing this weekend?" I wouldn't say I'm chilling at my crib. I am a 41-year-old teacher. I do not have a crib. I have a house. I wouldn't be able to use that slang. But using slang is essential to having a conversational tone. Now, another tip is you want to use tune-in words. The radio audience is often passive. What that means is they're doing something else while they're listening to the radio. Think about listening to music. What are you doing when you listen to music and you listen to the radio? Here are some things that I'm doing. I'm cutting the lawn. I'm doing yard work. I'm doing laundry. I'm cooking. I'm cleaning. I'm getting ready in the morning. I'm maybe trying to fall asleep. I'm reading and have it on in the background. I am never, and I love radio, I am never sitting down and just listening to radio. I'm always doing something else first. That means that I am not an active listener. To get me to become an active listener, you need to use some tune-in words that get me to pay attention to what you're going to say. How we do this is you don't put any essential facts up front. So, for example, if I were to say, hey, you want to win a pair of tickets to Lollapalooza? Give me a call at 482-9585. I just got you to tune in by saying, do you want to win a pair of tickets? If I said 482-9585, the next caller wins a pair of tickets, by the time you hear the words wins a pair of tickets, which is our tune-in, I've already given the number, and it's too late. You won't be able to participate. So here's an example without the tune-in. June 1st is the deadline to apply for a low-interest mortgage through the Illinois First-Time Buyers Plan. By the time you hear low-interest mortgage and Illinois First-Time Buyers Plan, the deadline is already passed. However, if I switch it to a tune-in, are you a first-time home buyer? Well, if you are, we FM, right? What's in it for me? You're going to pay attention. You being a high school student probably are not. You will remain a passive listener, and that's okay. I don't need you to be an active listener because this, for you, isn't active. But let's say you are a first-time home buyer. You hear that, and now you hear next Wednesday, June 1st is the deadline to apply, ... Now you're paying attention to the facts. Here's one without the tune-in. I give the phone number first. Call 555-3574 to get your tickets for this weekend, blah, blah, blah. With the tune-in, are you ready for some celebrity football this weekend on the Illinois State campus? And then we go on. Now, are you ready for some celebrity football? This is another little tip for writing for the year. That is what's called a contemporary reference or a media cliche. If you are a football fan, that is a play off of the Monday Night Football theme. Are you ready for some football? Now, cliches in your English class, would your teacher tell you to use them? No. Cliches make your English teacher even more angry than contractions do. It's because it means it's overused. However, here's the thing about cliches in the media. It's okay if they're overused because they grab your attention. They are kind of a tune-in word. So let me give you one that I hate as an English teacher. Don't ever do this to your English teacher. Don't ever put at the end of your paper, in conclusion. Anytime a student writes in conclusion on a paper they give me, I always circle it and write down, do you think I'm an idiot, with a question mark. And of course they always say, I don't think you're an idiot. Why do you think that? And I say, well, because you felt the need to tell me the paper was coming to a conclusion, as if I couldn't figure that out on my own because there's no more paragraphs after this one. That's how I know it's the conclusion. You don't need to tell me. But what if you're on the radio? How do I know you're going to stop your commercial or your story is coming to a close? Could you say in closing, in conclusion, one more time? Those are all cliches that wouldn't work in a paper, but do work when you're writing for the ear. Here's some more examples of tired written cliches that do work on radio and television. Couple more tune-in examples for you as well. My favorite being the bottom one. If you live in Cook County, hang on to your wallet. Well, why am I hanging on to my wallet? Now you're an active listener. Let's say I follow that up with, if you live in Cook County, hang on to your wallet. Gas tax is going up. Well, you're not driving yet mostly, so you just became a passive listener again. But I got you to become an active listener maybe for a minute or a second until you found out there was no WeFM for you. All right, tip number 4, keep sentences short. We talked about this before. It's better to write 2 simple sentences than 1 long, complicated one because they can't go back and reread it. So I'm going to put 2 examples up here for you. One is too long and one is better. And at this point, I want you to pause the video. And what I want you to do is I want you to read the too long one, and then I want you to read the better one, and I want you to do them out loud. Go ahead and do that. So pause the video, read the too long sentence first out loud, take a breath, and then read and pause and take the better one and read that out loud. All right, so you've probably unpaused the video at this point, and what you will notice, hopefully, is if you read the too long sentence out loud, by the end of it, you were probably out of breath, your voice wasn't as strong, and your inflection might have just been kind of tired. All things that are not good. But better, when you have periods in there, you're able to breathe. Now, as a listener, what you're also able to do is I'm able to process because you take a breath and you take a pause on the better one. Now, better, by the way, is better. It's not perfect. You could rewrite this much better if you really wanted to. But hopefully you see the difference between those 2 sentences. Number 5, don't use big words. Big words are fun. I love vocabulary. Vocabulary is great, and it's cool to learn new words. But for the radio, keep it simple. If they have to stop and think about what you're saying, then they lose what you're saying next. I just got a book on a Kindle for the first time, and every now and then I come across a word that I'm not quite sure what it means. It's brilliant because I could double tap on the word and a dictionary comes up on the Kindle. That's pretty awesome. But in radio, if that word came up, I might start thinking about what it means, and then I miss what the person is saying otherwise. Let's give you some examples. Bad, the mayor delivered an address to the class. Good, the mayor talked to the class. Keep it simple, right? Now also, do you notice what that did for sentence length? The mayor delivered an address to the class. We take 3 words, delivered an address, and make them into one, talked. One sentence is shorter than the other. Remember we said to keep sentences short? Also, just timing-wise, the mayor delivered an address to the class. Delivered an address, right? Delivered an address. That's 6 syllables. How many is talked? 1. Talked. So even though we shortened up our words, we're also going to shorten up our time. Why do I take such time to point this out? Because when you write your first script and it's over time, if it's supposed to be 30 seconds and your script is 35, don't crumple it up and start all over. Instead, go through your sentences and see if you can eliminate syllables and words, and all of a sudden you rewrite and your sentence is shorter and your script then becomes shorter as well. Another example for you, Claire declared she would go. Claire said she would go. Said is 1 syllable, declared is 2. We're not saving a lot of time there. But say that sentence out loud. Pause the video for a second and say the sentence, Claire declared she would go out loud. Does it feel like a bit of a tongue twister when you do that? It does to me, and it's a lot easier to say Claire said she would go. Plus, that's how we talk, right? Remember, go back to that point, talk how or write how you speak. You wouldn't go to your mom and be like, but Mom, Claire declared she would go. No, Claire said she would go. All right, number 6, use active verbs. In the English language, we've got active and passive verbs. Active verbs paint the picture, and they allow the listener to picture and visualize what is happening. So here's an example without an active verb, and here's a better one. The boy was hit by the car. Or the car hit the boy. When you picture the boy was hit by the car, you picture the scene is already over. The boy was already hit by the car. Maybe he's okay. Maybe he's not. But it's the aftermath. But I want you to picture the visual. I want you to picture the car hit the boy. Now, when I do active, you notice I also get a shorter sentence. Bonus. So break it down. Who did the action? The car. What did it do? It hit. Who did it hit? The boy. The car hit the boy. Now, when live sports start back up, listen to live sports play-by-play announcers because they are great at using active verbs. And I'm talking about radio ones. Television ones are good at it too. But TV announcers can sit and not talk for a while because the pitcher will tell you what's happening in the game. But if you listen to the radio call of a sports game, they are very good at using active verbs. Again, just a reminder on this slide right here. Number 7, watch out for sound-alikes. What do we mean by this? These are words that appear on paper and you could see the difference when they're written, but when you say them aloud, they sound the same. So what I want you to do again is pause this video really briefly and read the sentence at the bottom of the screen. All right, so listen to me read it now. The Cubs won yesterday and the Sox won too. The Sox won 2 T-O-O. The Sox won 2 T-W-O. Does that mean the Sox played a doubleheader? I thought they were only playing one game. Well, on paper, I could see that this really means both the Cubs and Sox won yesterday, which would be a brilliant way to rewrite it. But on the radio, I can't see that difference. So how do you find sound-alikes in your script? This leads us to tip number 8. You have to read your script out loud. If you don't read your script out loud, there's things that are going to happen to you, and none of them are good. The first thing that's going to happen to you is you're not going to hear those sound-alikes. You're also not going to hear tongue twisters and run-on sentences. And you're going to just hear what it sounds like, and maybe it sounds awkward, or maybe it sounds weird, or maybe it's too long of a sentence, maybe it's too short of a sentence. You hear it, and your brain listens to you talking, and it processes it, and it will tell you to make corrections right there on the spot. Plus, the other reason, you have to time your script out. I wish I had magical powers to be able to look at a script that you sent me and said, yep, that one is 37 seconds. However, I don't. Because you read at a different pace and a different inflection than maybe I do. So even if I read a script and it was 37 seconds, it might be your 36 seconds or your 34 seconds. You've got to read it out and you've got to time it as you read it out for yourself. All right, these are the basically down and dirty 8 tips to writing for the ear. If you need to go back at any point in this lecture and get those tips and write down the notes for yourself, please do. That note sheet, again, is for your use because all semester long, you're going to be referring back to these 8 tips. So make sure you get them and commit them to your lifestyle here in radio and memory so that your life will be so much easier going forward in this class. As always, if you have any questions, summer@WLTL.net. Otherwise, thank you for viewing this and head back to Canvas page for the assignment and carry on with module number 5.